Hello everyone. Today we are going to be looking at a detailed view of an example of a bill of quantity, and I'm going to try to walk you through the different components of it and how you can actually come up with it. Okay, so let's get into it. Hello everyone. Okay, today we are going to be looking at a practical example of what a bill of quantity looks like. Okay, so here is a bill of quantity. Here is an example of a bill of quantity. Just zoom in so you can see it well. Now, like I said, we are doing this in Excel. Okay? Please, I am not here to teach you Excel. I'm doing this knowing that you already know what Excel is. And even if you don't know, we can organize a separate class for that. Okay, so please just follow up as we go. So here is a practical example of a bill of quantity. And okay, you can see at the top here, the heading is what? Bill of quantity. Okay. This is bill of quantity, and then of course you got the location of the project. So this is a bill of quantity of a bungalow. The location of the project being Yaoundé, and the date of commencement, November 4, 2021. Building type, or you can put a building type here if they are different structure, but in this case a bungalow. That's very clear. And this job description is just for what structure work. So this is an example of a bill of quantity that the client is gonna send, like say to you, the contractor who wants to do the job. So in the bill of quantity, you have first the number. This is just a designation number. I have the description of the task here. In this column, you're going to have the description of the various tasks that you are expected to do, and you have the unit. That's the measurement type here. You have all the units in here, and then in here you have the quantity of works which are associated to the description that I will put here. And you are expected now to put your unit price here, and of course they always bring in an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet sheet which already has everything. You just need to fill your unit prices, and you are going to see how they are being populated. Okay, so for instance here we are looking at preparatory works. That is for lot 100. You have preparatory works. Okay, and for preparatory works you have what they expect to do: the site clearance, uprooting, carrying and disposing of vegetation, grass, bush, all that. So you just read all this, you go over it with your engineer, and you get an idea of what they want. And then of course if you're a company, you already have an idea of what they are going to, of how you rate your work. So you just come in here and you put in your unit prices with respect to what preparatory works, and it's gonna give you the total. Let's just say maybe the unit price, and you see the unit they've put here is what? Meter square. What is the meaning of meter square? Let me just explain that very briefly here. Now meter squared means, let's say this is the piece of land. Here is the, let me use a different color so you can see that clearly. So 1 meter square means is, let's say this is your piece of land. Okay, this is your piece of land like this. Now meter squared means measuring the length and the width. So they've multiplied this length and this width. Length times width is equals to meter square. Whatever answer you have there is the meter square. So here we have 800, so that means 800, so that is equals to 800 meter squared. So what they are saying here is that what give us the price that you are going to clear 1 meter squared of this. So let's say you say okay, 150 francs. So you see it means in total you're asking that they should pay you 120,000 for doing the site clearance, of which they pay you 150 francs per meter square. So that means that in 1 meter square, let's say this was 1 meter, so if you take 1 meter by 1 meter here, so it means you're doing this portion for 1 meters for 150 francs, and you keep multiplying until you have the whole surface area, and you are doing it for a total of what? 120,000. Okay, now site installation, that involves like installation of everything that you need. Maybe you need a concrete mixer, maybe you need to put up a side head, maybe you need to put up the different compartments of which the formwork, the rods, maybe where to tip the material like sand, gravel, all those kind of things are going to be there. You need to arrange all those different spots on site, and of course this one cannot have a unit. Yeah, it can't have a unit since it yeah, just putting up structures and stuff like that for the works and all that. So you let's say you say okay, for the site installation you are going to need let's just say 150,000. So all this is being rated in francs. Okay, we are working with francs here, francs CFA. Okay, so let's say you say 150,000. So you see automatically it says you're asking for what, 270,000 francs. Of course the total here is also in francs. Total here is also in francs. 270,000 francs for the this lot 1, which is preparatory works. Okay, so we go down to the next part, which is what, earthworks. Now earthworks is excavation of foundation trenches, including dressing of site leaf, all that. You just read this, you understand what they want. They give you the quantity that they've put there. All you're expected is what. Now this one was rated in meter cube. Okay, meter cube is different from meter square in the sense that this is meter square, you're dealing with just the length and the width. Okay, but in meter cube you're not only dealing with the length and the width, you're also dealing with the height. Okay, so this is the piece of land. It's just like you're moving on it. If you want somebody moving on this piece of land, this is who you're moving on. This, you just see just the length and the width. But now in meters cube, now it means you're bringing in a third component which actually projects the land now to be something like this, which is what, the height too. That's the height of this. So length, the width, and the height. Because of course when you have to excavate this, let's say you need to clean off all the topsoil here. Let's say this was vegetable soil. As you can't construct on vegetable soil, so you need to remove all this vegetable soil. So what you have to do is you have to cut this length, the width, and then you have to dig. So as you're digging down, let's say you have to dig down to maybe this height here, you need to cut all this off all around. Okay, so you see that you're working with what, the length, the width, and the height. So that is just what we call meter cube, which is what, length times the width times the height, which is equals to what, meter cube. So that is what they've done. They've done the calculation and they've seen that is what, 500 meters cube. So they are asking you, how much do you think you can excavate 1 meter cube? So let's just say for you now, of course these prices you don't guess them. Okay, yes, you don't guess them. There are ways of which you do to calculate and get all these unit prices. Okay, so these are not prices that you guess, or the rate rather. First of all, as a company you are going to have your rates that you work with, and secondly as an individual, even if you don't know how to work with the rate, I am going to show you how you can calculate to actually get these rates. Okay, so let's just say in this case you have decided that you're going to excavate a meter cube of this for, let's say, 1,000. So you're asking for a total of what, 500,000 francs to do all the earthworks and excavation. Okay, we keep going down. Backfilling. Okay, now this backfilling has to do with what, underflows, under structures, layers, all that ramming and all that. So what does this mean? This means that when you are done with the excavation, of course the excavation here also included excavating for what, the footings and the trenches of the foundation. Okay, this means that let me just reproduce this plot here again. Okay, if this is this piece of land, okay, and we say you have excavated your footings, that's your footings or foundation like this. Let's say this is your foundation. You've excavated all this, and you've excavated the trenches too that connects all of them like that. You've excavated all these trenches and stuff like that. At the end of the day, after you have done your footings and you've done the trenches and all that, of course you can't allow it like this. You need to backfill it back. Okay, you need to fill back soil in here. Okay, you need to fill back soil in all of these trenches here. Okay, and of course fill the foundation proper, water it and ram it. Okay, and then before you do the flooring, and after you have done that, now you can then continue with your structure above. So what is happening here is they're asking you for the backfilling, how much. By the way, the quantity of the backfilling here is 16. Well, this is just an example. How much do you think you can do that? Let's just take 1,000 francs again. You have 16,000. That's very small, but it's just an example. Okay, so so this is it for your earthworks. Okay, and of course at the end you still have the total here giving you 516,000 francs. And then you leave. Now you come to what, let's say the foundation works. After that you have the foundation works, which is the next lot 300. You have 301, you have blinding concrete, yeah, and they give you the dosage which you have to use here. Okay, they give you the dosage which you have to use at this point. So blinding concrete dose at 150 kilograms per meter cube. So they've given you the quantity which you have to use. Okay, now of course from the quantity, now you are going to have you have to put in your rate steel. Okay, let's say your rate here for reinforced concrete, let's say it's 150,000, and of course you have that. Okay, so let's say for every meter cube of reinforced concrete, your rate is 150,000. So you fill that in. Coming here again, this is still reinforced concrete. Okay, you still fill in 150,000. Okay, no, this is Frog field Sanskrit blocks of 20. So this is building of foundation blocks. Okay, this is always in meter square. So this is in meter square. So let's say for this one, your rate, you put 90,000 francs, and you're going to have that. Mass concreting floor, that is the flooring proper. Well, this also has to be in meter square, but it can still be in meter cube. So let's say that they've given you this in meter cube, and you're expected to put your rate here. So let's say for mass concreting, 90,000 still, giving you a total of 2,199,000 francs for the foundation works. Now in some cases they're even going to give you the type of mixture which you have to use there. We're going to see that on the next level, which is what masonry works. Okay, now for masonry works, you have your Sanskrit. Masonry work means the elevation of the walls. Okay, so we are already done with the foundation, we are done with the flooring, and now we want to start raising the walls of the building. Okay, so you start with your Sanskrit here. Now Sanskrit blocks, well, this is it's asking you how much you are going to you want to be paid to raise the building blocks. Of course, you can see from the dimension of the blocks here, 15 by 20 by 40. So let's say after calculating all the building blocks, they have this for the quantity. All you need to do is just to put the price. So let's say for the building blocks, let's say you rated that at 3,000, and then you have that 306,000 for the plastering. Of course, let's say plastering 2,500, and reinforced concrete for pillars, beams. Of course, this is reinforced concrete again, so put 150,000 still. And then okay, now look here, they're asking you so this is plain cement concrete for nominal mix 1:3:6. Now this one is a little bit more complicated because you actually have to know this. This 1:3:6 means 1 part of sand of cement, 3 parts of sand, 6 parts of gravel. Okay, now this is for M10. M10 is the resistance or the strength of the concrete that you have to use here, and then 1:3:4 is for M20. Okay, so 1 part of cement, 3 parts of 4 parts of gravel. Well, basically this is just how you go over the estimate to bring out the bill of quantity. Okay, so when you are provided with this sheet, you just need to go in, you study it, you fill in your unit prices, and at the end of the day you are going to have the total. Now in most cases you are not even always provided with this, you have to come out with this. Oh, now that is a little bit more complicated because you are going to have to know all these with the descriptions and all that, and then you do the estimate or you bring out the bill of quantity on your own. Last point to note, like I said, these unit prices, the way you have them, it's not just some random price that you put there. Okay, because at the end of the day what has to be in your mind is, as a contractor, you're working for a profit. Okay, so you don't want to go and put a price there. At the end of the day you won't be able to execute that work, and you end up finding yourself in problems, or you're working at a loss, you know, or stuff like that. So you always have to make sure that you put a price that you're working at a profit. We're going to cover that and more in the next tutorial, where I'm going to tell you how you can actually come up with a unit price, and then also how you can always, because you know it's always very competitive, you need to know 1 or 2 techniques to be able to manipulate with this in such a way that you are always at a gain, but you don't also want to lose the job, because don't forget that you are not the only one doing the estimate. There are a lot of people involved in this. So you have this, let's say in this case we have 3 contractors, like, you know, we have 3 companies which are going for this job. You just find you just happen to be one. So let's say maybe you're contractor A. So at the end of the day, they're going to take this, they compare them, and then they see how they can give you, depending if it's a private contract or a government contract. So we're going to cover that in the next tutorial. Thank you. I hope this helps. Please, if you're finding these tutorials helpful, make sure you always like, share, and you also subscribe to all the channels to keep receiving notifications when we post new tutorials. Thank you, and see you in the next tutorial.